Well, good morning. It's quite early on Saturday morning, 1st of August. Welcome to August, everybody. Just thought I'd get some stuff done because I am I'm about halfway through a completely horrible, tedious job. And I'm not even sure this will ever make a full episode. But what I'm actually doing is rebuilding a Soundcraft 200B mixer. And it's a horrible, tedious job. And yeah, I just thought, I wonder if there's anyone about. She'll do an impromptu emergency live broadcast and see if anybody's about, wants to keep me company while I do this blasted thing. Nice hot fresh cup of tea. And the beauty about getting up nice and early on a Saturday morning is it's cool in here, which is lovely, because we're still having a heat wave. Yeah, right. Stuff to do. If you don't know what a Soundcraft 200B mixer is, it's made up of a lot of these. This one is a 12-channel mixer. And yeah, this one, all the switch gear and pots and everything have been horribly scratchy. I think it's been stored badly in its lifetime. This was made in 1986. It's a great thing. They are so utterly repairable. I don't think there is anything in here that you can't get or repair. They really are brilliant. But this one has suffered a little bit. So I'm sat here putting it back together. I've got all these PCBs down here. What I've done is I've taken all these switches off. You see that? Yes. Who have we got? Morning. Morning. Charles Crawford. The Charles Crawford? Morning, Charlie. Aren't you on your way? Are you going to George's tonight? Anyway, we've got John as well. Good morning. Yeah, there was. So what I've done is I've taken all these switches off. These are particularly troublesome. Not sure if these are actually still available, but they clean up okay. And they've been in a solution of Aquinox in the ultrasonic cleaner. So what I've got to do is basically clean up every one of these, clean up the faders, which are in a big pile over there, and put it all back together. And it's mindless work, and I'm bored with it. So, yeah, little bit of Posh deoxit. This is the green stuff. Just to give each switch a bit of a blast, each pot a bit of a blast. A little work back and through. Clean the pot, clean the fader, the actual sliding fader up. Let's get one I've done. Here's one I made earlier. Just clean one of those up and then put them all back together so they're nice and smooth and lovely. And it should then work well. It belongs to a guy who owns a little studio down the road. And he likes his analog gear despite being a youngster. So he bought this and wanted me to sort it out. I'll have to come to some arrangement on the labour because his bill's going to be huge on this. Because I've been at this thing for hours. See what I could do? Put the bench on. A bit of light on the situation. Oh, that's better. Good morning to Magic Enlightenment. You see what I'm doing? No, you can't. That's no good, is it? There we are. Oh, this live's all a bit different, isn't it? Obviously, I only got one camera, so there's probably a way to make it do more. But like I say, this is all a bit impromptu this morning. manipulate those switches. Let's give each of the pots a bit of a wang back and forward, just to distribute our nice bit of deoxide in there. Feeling very smooth. Such a simple mixer. You've got these two connectors on here. Just connect to some sort of ribbon. That one's sort of like a twisted pair that goes to the back panel of the case, and just has a the sockets input and output, or just output, just input. Sorry, I think it's just input sockets on the rear. These boards here are for the masters and the meter bridge and stuff. So they've had the same treatment. Switches disconnected. But it's just, there's 12 channels to this desk, and so far I have done 5. There's a long way to go. Good morning from Holland. Oh, lovely. Looking forward to the 3 TVs video this morning from GC Bastu. Yes, I filmed that quite a while ago, actually, before Retrotech. So it's it got lost in the scheduler a bit, and I thought it was about time we give it an airing. TV videos are always probably the most popular, followed by the audio stuff. Ham radio stuff doesn't seem to do so well, but can't have it all, can we? Right, let's mop up the excess deoxide from here. These connectors, by the way, they've got gold-plated pins on, so they really just don't suffer. Right, one of these, put it all back together again. We just give this pot another squirt. No, we don't. We give it a bit of a blowing first because it'll be covered in dust. And the pot's actually on the edge with the contacts on it. There's no point in leaving the other side. Give that work it back and forward a number of times. Oh, that's smooth. That's rather good. Love the Retrotech episodes. Can't imagine why I might be biased towards them. Probably because you did a lot of the filming, Charles. Took the photographs. I don't think I did one this year, did I? I was too busy enjoying the 100 years of television. Charles, you may remember I came away with that Leek amplifier from Richard March. That'll appear in an episode. I think it's going to be in October. It's not quite finished yet. I'm waiting for bits. I've got to get this thing done and out of the way. Right, a bit of Mr. Muscle Platinum window and glass cleaner. I'll give this front panel a birthday. This stuff works very well, and it doesn't harm the print, especially with Technics amplifiers, you generally find the print on the front reacts badly to that foam cleaner with the, where is it, with the ammonia in it, and it will clean the print off if you're not careful. Ask me how I know. Morning to Analog Ground. When I went live this morning, Alan, to be honest, Alan woke me up with a text message about 6:30. Alan Fleckney. And he hasn't replied to me, actually. His phone's going off, though. Let's see what he's got to say for himself. Nothing at all. He's gone back to bed, hasn't he? Oh, goodness. My boss at the day job has just sent me a really bad joke. Authorities have put out a missing person report for the singer Sting after he was kidnapped. The police have no lead. Thank you. It's terrible. Right, that's looking clean and shiny. So next we've got to ag all this back into position. And the trick is here to get the pots to line up, because they move about a bit on the board. Get stuck like that one there. There we go. That's not too shabby. All the buttons are poking through the holes, so it means we've soldered them up into the right place. And then I've got this big tea towel here with all my nuts and bolts and knobs and everything in it. They had to go through the ultrasonic cleaner as well, because why wouldn't you? I had some solution left over, so you can't see what I'm doing again, can you? Hang on. There we are. What I want is a wider angle camera there. You don't need to look at me there. Not first thing on a Saturday morning. Some of you might be quite sensitive. Right, one nut and bolt and washer on there. One nut and washer on there. Just get it started. And this has been my life for a couple of days. That's a terrible joke, but Colin seems to appreciate it. Good. 5 of the TV sets used in the 100 years of television display at Retrotech were my sets, along with a Pioneer Laserdisc player. Very nice, John. I did enjoy that. It was a worthwhile display, I think. And I understand there was Pi Pat Gen was doing service there as well, which is nice to see. There's a few of those people have made now from the sort of website and video I did on it years ago. I must go and have a look, actually, where I hosted the files. Was it Angel Fire or someone? I think there's a download counter on there, so I could go and have a look to see how many times it was downloaded. Some people got very needy with it, though. You know, they said, oh, I don't like the included test patterns. I want this one, and this one. Can you make an image for me? And, well, I showed you how to do it. I haven't got the time to customize each image for everyone, have I? One guy, I think in Europe somewhere, got very upset with me because I wouldn't do it. Something for nothing. I ought to have thought about this a little bit more, shouldn't I? And had a set running in the background or something. It would only rile the copyright gods if I had the news on or something. Oh, somebody did comment the other day I forget which episode it was on. It was on one, oh, I think it was on the Bush TV episode with the Z718 chassis. Somebody said, why was I displaying France's propaganda? Because I think I had the news channel France 24 on. And the reason I had that on is because it doesn't appear to anger the copyright gods. So, yeah. These are good, by the way. This is a 3D printed, completely hollow, sort of nut spinning arrangement. It's designed for taking guitars apart. My mate Steve put me onto that. And could I 3D print him a set? And I thought that would be really handy for doing up knobs around pots, etc. Because, you know, the plastic's nice and soft, which does mean they wear quite quickly. But it's only 3D printing. But they don't mark the front panel, which is rather nice, really. You know, if I had a socket or a spanner on there and you slip and horrible. Hey, another channel completed. Very smart. I should put the knobs on when I've mounted them all back in the rack. This mixer used to be 12 channels. 24 channels. But literally somebody sawn the end off. I put a cheek back on. That's what we see. My daughter bought me a mug the other week. Don't worry, I've got this. I've watched a YouTube video. What comments do we got? Let's go and have a look. Teletext service was also provided by a Raspberry Pi. Now, I did make a Pi text and I've never cased it up because I haven't got any real teletext tellies. I've got the LCD one that, you know, I sit here when I'm doing computers and stuff occasionally. That's got text on it. And it did sort of sit up there and display text in the background for a while, but I never boxed it up. I must finish it. Pi text, why wouldn't you? What else we got? Goldwing is enjoying the live stream. Thank you very much. Honda Goldwing. There's an interesting thing about the Honda Goldwing. If you, or at least in the past, I don't know if they're still made, are they? But if in the past they were made in two different formats. If you bought one in Europe, it was equipped with metric nuts and bolts. And if you bought one in America, it was equipped with imperial nuts and bolts. Amazing. Attention to detail, I suppose. From what I gather from watching car repair channels, which is something I do, the Americans seem to have more or less adopted metric, or at least tolerate it now anyway. Right, another channel required. Oh, I'll just show you the... Actually, yeah, hang on, I'm just going to step outside. Oh. Except for it's not there, what I was going to show you. Where is it? I was going to show you the... Oh, there it is, down there. This is the meter bridge section and the masters and the bus returns for the mixer. That's where all these PCBs here live. And I've got to strip the meter bridge down at some stage, all these meters down, because the bulbs have gone in them. And the guy that owns it went out and bought 3 bulbs because he thought he had 3 meters. Anyway, bits are available for these, so it's not a difficult thing to source bits for. All the electronics is absolutely bog standard. It's generally TLO 72s in it. Yeah, it's all TLO 72s, I think. Oh, that's a 5532 on the bus controller. There's posh. Typical Honda attention to detail. Yes. I have a Bush 22, a KB Queen Deluxe, and an Echo TMB 272. I have kept to restore one day. I fear that day has probably arrived. What 405 source do I use for my testing? It's that thing up there. Hang on. Let me wave it at you. It's that box there. You see it's got Fire Stick in the front, but it is literally an Aurora converter in one side. Oh, it's horribly overexposed, isn't it? Let's turn the lamp down. Look, you get to view things you never see. Yeah, so basically there's an Aurora in that side, and there's an HDMI to UHF VHF on this side, one of those AliExpress things with a little remote for it. I find it's quite good because you can use it to fiddle the aspect ratio about. So yeah, quite good really. But yeah, that's an Aurora, and I've also got a what's the word? Not a dinosaur, the other one. Brain function, please. Oh, no, not a dinosaur. What's it called? Memory's gone blank. FPGA based thing that Frank designed, Frank Clough. Yeah. There's the on the air sign twinning. I think yours is bigger than that one, isn't it, Charles? That's only a little thing. It's not plugged in though, is it? Anyway, but yeah, that's I can't think of the name of the thing. Oh, brain is not quite functioning yet. More tea is required, obviously. What's it called? Come on. Let's get some deoxit fumes into my head. That'll help. So, yeah. Also, one thing you might want to look at, if you've got a Hack RF1 or a Hack RF Porter Pack, there is something called Hack TV you can use to generate almost any standard. And you can feed that a video file and it will play it. And it uses the Hack RF to generate the appropriate RFE bit and modulates it with a software thing. And it even does, if you want a 625 source, it even does NICAM stereo, which is a bit of an achievement, really. Yeah, that is something you can look at. It's obviously, if you've got that hardware, it's then cheap to implement. But it'll do 405. I think it even does 819, and I have never seen an 819 picture in my life. And of course, you can't. To give 819 justice, you need to feed it with an HD source, don't you? Which you can do in software. Whereas all the Hedgehog, that's the name of the converter. That's the name of the converter, because Hedgehog will do 819. But obviously it upscales from 625, so you never get the benefit of full bandwidth. But with a Hack TV, you do. All right, let's give each one of these pots a wang. These pan pots, I have to say, they don't feel as good as the single gang ones do. They're a little bit stiff. What other comments we got? Hedgehog, thank you, John. Yes. Domino was the other one. That's right. I did have a Domino many years ago, but I sold that to pay for a divorce. You're making me crave a cup of Earl Grey tea. I live in California. Can you not get Earl Grey in California? It must be said we're on the Yorkshire tea this morning, but I do like a cup of Earl Grey. from time to time, but I make it quite strong. I think that might be a British thing, I don't know. Just the fact that I'm an animal. Oh, God, this is tedious. I might have to take a note out of his book when I'm through with this coffee. You got a coffee on the go, Charles. Very nice. Now, that's something interesting. Those of you that know about my change of medication. So, coffee didn't used to affect my tremor at all, which you'll notice is remarkably good, especially I haven't actually taken me to pills this morning. I must go and do that in a minute. Might be time for another brew in a minute. So, yes. But yeah, so coffee never used to affect my tremor one iota, not in the slightest. And now it does, which means things are changing. You'll probably notice in the video that's coming up at 10:34 this morning that the tremor is probably present because, like I say, I recorded that months and months ago. Hey Dawes, what am I fixing? It's a 12-channel Soundcraft 200B mixing console that has been abused in its life. It's a beautifully made thing. So yeah, here's this is a channel strip. I've got 12 channel strips and the meter bridge here. These are the PCBs for the meter bridge. The only faults on it, other than the lamps, the bulbs in the meters, are the noisy pots and controls. So I have, just a recap, I've removed all of these switches. Each one of these switches has had a go in the ultrasonic cleaner. I've reassembled all the boards, given the boards a bit of a clean up. Just lubricating everything now, and I'm putting it back in. So yeah, that's where we're at. So that's what a completed channel strip looks like. There we go. So making progress. It's long, slow, tedious work, and I just fancied the company this morning, so I thought I'd go live. Didn't think we'd get this many people in, I have to say. The reason I'm leaning over there, by the way, is because damned if I can read this screen with these glasses on. Oh. Star Trek Picard, Earl Grey hot. Yes. That's a strange thing. The knowledgeable man. Who's that? It's not me. I'm going to see if I can get Yorkshire tea. Why not? Have a go at it. It's made by Taylor's, I think, if that helps. Bloody genius man. No, I'm not. Hope you're charging a suitable amount. Kev, what do you do with it? Where do you go with a job like this? Because the guy is happy to pay, but the hours and hours and hours this has taken. You could buy, and there's the problem. What do you do? A 12-channel analog desk. What's it worth? 300 quid probably. So what do you charge somebody for repairing it? You could very easily write it off. But here's the thing. I've gone through, or when I finish the job, I will have gone through the whole thing. So it will be, to all intents and purposes, as new. And hopefully it will last another 40 years and see the rest of us into our graves. But what do you charge the guy? If he was to go and buy another one, he's going to buy another one that's probably had the same limited maintenance that this one's had, and it's going to be in the same state. So, but but there is a cutoff for these things. The one thing I will say is the guy is a frequent flyer with me. A lot of the guitar amplifiers you see are his. I've done all sorts of other equipment that never made it as a video for him. He is a good customer. He's a nice guy, so we will come to some agreement. And he's also a builder, and it's always very good to have a tame builder. That's his job. Yeah, it's always excellent to have a tame builder on your side. So, right, what do I want? Air duster. Blow the detritus out of here. Interestingly, this desk was also available as a broadcast desk. And in fact, Alan flecked me when I sent some photographs of it, because he used to be an on-air personality back in the day. And he was and he said, oh, I remember those. Now, the broadcast version has a micro switch at the bottom of the pot, the fader here, so that when you operate the fader for the presenter's microphone, it obviously mutes the speakers in the studio, so you don't get any feedback. And they had a habit of very occasionally, if you got unlucky, when you turn the mic fader up, it would create the tiniest little pop. And there were all sorts of mods to get that suppression suppressed, so it didn't sort of pop and go, it would be audible on the broadcast. So somebody came up with a little voltage controlled thing, and it used a ZATS attenuator. And I've still got 2 or 3 of those up there as spares, because I've got a feeling that IC is no longer available. But it was a little mod that sat on the bottom of the pot, and it put a voltage on the pot rather than this. I think just has audio on it. And then as soon as the voltage increased slightly, it would then activate the local monitor mute, and there would be no pop crackle. And they were very good. And then it used the voltage also to control the ZATS attenuator to attenuate make the fader work as a fader again. And there's just a little piggyback PCB, and it used to solder straight on there. We picked up 15 volts or something from somewhere, plus or minus 15, I think. But yeah, interesting. This obviously hasn't got it because it's not a broadcast monitor. Right, let's move the camera back down again. Let's get this finished off again. Squirt down that side of the parts, because that's where the traces are. Give it a birthday. First time live? No. I did do it a few years ago. One was really successful, and it was when the channel was very much smaller. And it was when the channel was very much smaller. One was very successful and did rather well. Then I did it again about a week later, and nobody turned up. So I sort of haven't bothered since, but I've just got such a lot to do this morning. So I just thought I'd get this out of the way. Unfortunately, my parents are rather unwell, so I have to go this afternoon and care for them. So, so I just thought before it gets hot, because this place has got flat roof, and the roof is sort of that colour. It's like a dark grey, and it gets rather warm rather quickly. So I thought, right, before the sun hits it and it gets all hot and horrible in here, I will come in and do a bit. And then I was just making a cup of tea, feeling a bit bored. I thought, let's go live. So here I am. That's the story behind that. Right, which way round does that go? That way round. Get it all slotted back up together. You can see some of this hardware. You probably can't see it. This camera's rubbish, isn't it? But some of this hardware is a little bit corroded. Where the whole thing's been sort of poorly stored over the years, probably. Oh, by the way, if you're tuning in, you shouldn't be seeing any adverts, by the way. I've switched them off because there's nothing worse than, you're getting halfway through a sentence and they're getting slashed up by an advert, in my opinion. It's okay when you've edited a video together. Though I have to say, revenue this month has been terrible. Despite the fact I've had some of my best videos ever, the income has been right down, and I was having a little whinge with Alan Fleckney the other day from the Community TV Repair Channel, and he said the same thing. But I suppose, tinkering in a shed, it is a winter sport, isn't it? Everybody's out enjoying the lovely weather. I don't blame them. Do broadcast desks still have the sliders back to front, nearest the operator being full on? Said the man that works for the BBC. That was only ever really a BBC thing. But even the Clyde desks that the BBC used had pots the other way up. So this desk, it's exactly the same on the broadcast version of this desk. That's loud, that's off. So 0 dB is marked there, by the way. Probably can't see it on this rubbish camera. But yeah, no, most desks are sort of conventional. And the idea now, because I've had the displeasure of having to operate BBC desks from time to time, and the way to remember it is you bring the sound towards you. So on a BBC style desk, that's loud and that's off. So yeah, they're the other way up. And I understand, well, I think it's a sort of urban myth that it was done in the very early days of the glow pot. Now, a glow pot, my understanding of it, now a friend of mine's got one, but I haven't seen him for years, and we were going to take it apart so we could get it going. But literally, it was a lever, and they're always sort of on an arc. And on the other end of the lever over here is a light. Let's come up with some sort of demo. Difficult. But yeah, so you've got a lever. Over here is a light bulb. And on the other end of the fader assembly is a CDS cell or an LDR, light dependent resistor. And literally it swings the lamp towards the resistor to increase the gain. That was my understanding of it. Never seen one in the flesh. Know where there is one. But yeah, I've never seen one. And I understand that is why BBC Desks works up the other way. Oh, there's another kind of fader, of course. If I just grab the camera here for a second, and I angle that right up towards the ceiling, which is, where are we looking? We're looking over there. Can you see that up against the ceiling there? I shall point. Where's my pointing stick? We haven't had the pointing stick out for a while. No, use Doz's favourite screwdriver. You will notice here, and here, these are rotary faders. So they are rotary, and they are not pots, believe it or not. They are rotary transformers, and that is a Gates Yard. And you'll notice it's missing its VU meter because it's there, because it got removed for actually it appeared as an extra, if you like, in a film once. So yeah, Gates Yard mixing console. It is of course all tube, has a massive power supply and amplifier that goes with it. But yeah, it's a similar model. It's called a yard, of course, because it's a yard long. You can see it above my head now. So it's called a yard because it is a yard long. And Radio Caroline has one in their Overdrive studio. That was a Gates yard, although it's a different model for that, because that one, they have like a little inbuilt speaker. And I think Caroline has the version where it's at one end, or is it the other end? That one is the version where the speaker is actually in the top lid. And the top lid is designed to be serviced. It hinges open. And you just get it, everything. It's wonderful. Weird output impedance on the monitor amplifier. I think it's 42 ohms or something. Weird. It's a pair of is it a pair of BL84s, pair of 6L6? I can't remember. But the output amplifier and the power supply and all the muting and switching relays are external. But they have it has I bought another output transformer for it to make it 8 ohms. For the simple reason is the transformer in there had failed. And what's the bet in somebody had the incorrect load impedance on it. Anyway, right, that's enough of that. What comments have we got? Dos needs our company for the safety of his brain cells. Certainly done. Safety of my brain cell, Charles, 1. Greetings from WEF Occupied Canada. WEF. I don't know what that is. Good to catch you live. Thanks for the informative and entertaining videos. Thanks for being here. Looking forward to seeing the upcoming 3 TVs. Yeah, me and all. It was a long time ago I made that. I'm always amazed when I see a live stream you've done well. And this one is good. It takes a lot of skill to live stream. I couldn't do it, I'm sure. I'm only doing this because I'm bored with this tedious job. Anybody created a 3D print file for the old school BMI BBC quadrant fader? Is that what it was called? Is that the Glowpot I'm on about? Thought they were the other way around to prevent accidental moving the slider to full on the sleeves of their suit jackets. Could be just a myth. It's no worse than the other myth, is it? That's remarkably fun. Jolly good. Right, yes. That mixer up there, the yard, it really needs to come down and get done, really, doesn't it? It's been up there for I have used it in anger many years ago, but it did have to get robbed for bits to do a job I can't really talk about. But yeah, it did get robbed for bits. It's now complete, other than the fact I've never refitted the meter. But it ought to get reassembled and pressed back into some form of service, really. But yeah. Oh, and the other thing is, on that, those are called Davin attenuators, and they are a rotary transformer on the Gates yard. And there was a special lubricant, a bit like your deoxit, called Davinol, which I just about remember. So yeah, it was an interesting thing. Davinol. How far have I got with this one? I'm back together, aren't I? If I tighten these nuts up, I can't remember now. I got distracted. There we go. Don't do the technology, Charles. I'm not warning you again. Well, come on, Charles. Learn something for a change. You're qualified now, man. What's the time looking like? It's about tea time, I think. 5 minutes past 8. Right, that's another one done. Thank God for that. I am more than halfway. And that means I'm going to just take a quick break for a cup of tea. I shall be back in moments few. Anybody that logs on now, obviously, I should be back straight away. Do I leave it going? Is there a little interlude thing I can put up? You know, then llama or a beetle or something. Anyway, there we go. Yes, back in moments few. Right. I shall let that brew for a minute. Anybody remember these blasted things? Rigonda. What comments we got? Burst of Radio Country will give you a burst of Beethoven at this point and probably get a copyright infringement. Very engaging content. Yes, brewing up. Electronics is a hobby. I was a military man for 30 years. Now, they had some good kit, didn't they? I did many years ago have a military wireless set transmitter. I don't know what happened to that. I have to say, it was when I was very young. Probably broke it for bits like the idiot I am. Don't do the technology. You're going to have a tech man fight like Anchorman. Don't know Anchorman. Oh, is that the film? Yeah. I'm taking Super Rip on my team. No, I'm obviously not hip enough for that comment. Hey, that's a cute CRT. No, it isn't. Rigonda. Yes. Made in, look at it, it's covered in filth. Made in the USSR. I was gifted this, and when these used to come into my shop in the 80s, was it 90s? 80s, I suppose I saw them, but I didn't have my own shop then. In the 90s, I used to feel a Rigonda headache coming on. These were made in the USSR. I believe they were sort of sold and given away for the large part by Dixon's, the Curry's Group chain. This is a Fiesta. Yeah. Horrible things to work on. And I've got a feeling that somewhere it's got a very flat face CRT. In fact, I wonder if it is completely flat. Where's my little steel rule? That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? It is completely flat. Good Lord. Right, yeah, it's they were rubbish. They were given away. I think there was a smaller one. I've got two of those as well that belong to a guy that saw the channel. He said, "Look, I'd really like you to fix this." And so it turns out we have a mutual friend, and he's a pilot, and he flies in important people around privately. Proper important people, not film stars and pop stars and things. Proper people. Anyway, he's bought me two of the sort of longer one with the controls are on the side down here somewhere. One that is smashed that he bought off eBay, and he wants me to make a good one out of the pair. We've got one with a red case and one with this sort of creamy beige case, and he wants me to make a good one out of the pair. But they're full of weird Soviet transistors with too many legs, and I believe there's a bulb in the frame stage. And if the bulb blows, you get frame collapse. I don't know what it's there for. Bit of current limiting, maybe? Some sort of weird linearization, like one of those Hewlett-Packard oscillators? Don't know. Can't remember. But I remember it's like a 6.3 volt bulb. But they did run off 12 volts and mains. I don't have the mains lead for this one. So clearly we'll have to jury rig something up. I wonder if it once had a sort of external power supply, because that clearly says 12 volts DC on it. Tension, high voltage. Good, we should ignore that. But yeah, a little coax plug in the top here. Presumably had a UHF loop on it. 625 lines only as far as I'm aware. Despite the fact that Russia used CCAM, didn't it? I don't suppose it makes a fat lot of difference for a black and white set. But yeah, little monochrome portable. Very cute, like you say, but awful things to work on. We shall have a look at that one day. Shall have a look at all of them. Maybe an episode of 3 TVs could be, couldn't it? Anyway, let's get that out of the way. I'll leave you looking at it while I go and rescue my tea before it stews to death. What comments have we got? Oh, I've just dropped stuff everywhere. We have Lipton teas over here. Do you drink Lipton teas? Yeah, Lipton's all right, isn't it? Hams back in the day using Rigonda for slow scan television. You needed one of those robot memory things for doing slow scan, didn't you, back in the day? And in fact, there you go. There's a memory trigger. When I used to live in London, there was a children's hospital that is now flats. In fact, Colin, if he's listening, he knows somebody that lives in there. It's been converted into posh housing now, but it was a children's hospital. It was originally a polio hospital. And unfortunately, I spent quite a bit of time in there as a youth when I was 9 and 10. In fact, almost a year in there. Anyway, yeah, that hospital, it had, it was a children's hospital, had a large sort of grounds that it was in. And it's in Banstead in Surrey. And they used to have a big sort of fair to raise funds every year. And there was a ham radio sort of stall there one year. And there was a guy with a monitor and one of these robot TV things. And I was into television. That was my thing. Always has been. And I can't have been very old. Yeah, probably not even 10. But I remember going to this fair and then demonstrating this slow scan telly, and I was transfixed, and I suppose that's why I was very keen to get my license. In those days, I don't think you could get a license if you were less than 14. Might be wrong. It's changed now, I think. But it was much later that I actually became licensed. There may have been some transgressions before that, but yeah, it was. It was. That's what sort of spurred me on. And there was also a guy from the BBC who I was a Boy Scout as well, and a Cub Scout, and he did the sort of PA for the churches. They had a fundraising fair back in, this would have been 1970s. And I was always fascinated by his sort of PA amplifier. It was all valve gear, again, rotary faders. I don't know whether they were rotary attenuating transformers like that is, but yeah, he always used to let me operate it. I remember him having a stack of 78s for music, probably Beethoven, before copyright became an issue. But yeah, that was fascinating me as a kid, and he brought me around all sorts of stuff. Undoubtedly, much to the chagrin of my parents and my mother especially. But there we go. I had all sorts of stuff to try and electrocute myself with as a kid. Enjoyed every minute of it. Reel-to-reel tapes as well. I had boxes of ex-BBC Rush's tapes, and I just recorded over them. What was I thinking? Who knows what was on them? But they were in BBC boxes, and they were just being thrown out. So I used to collect them up and bring them around to me. So I had a stack of tape to play with. Brilliant. There we go. Right, now I'll leave you looking at that. I'm going to go and rescue this tea. Back in a second. There, look at that. Lovely. Don't use a Variac transformer. Record it just in case it smokes. Can't beat out the entertainment like that. I got a comment on that before I go and rescue my tea. The problem with doing that, especially with stuff like this, is if you then damage something that's unobtainium, if something smokes, fair enough, it's had it anyway. But if you then go and damage something that's unobtainium, what do you do? Entertaining, yes, but there we go. Mr. Digman. No idea who Mr. Digman is. Still have a 5-inch Radio Shack TV. Repaired it when I was a teenager. The picture tube was necked. Yeah, they were a bit fragile, weren't they? Used to see a lot of this sort of stuff. Obviously, these are quite well made. I mean, that's a metal case on there. So they were rather well made, but yeah, if you drop them and the glass gets stressed, it's game over, isn't it, really? Anyway, right, see. Look at that, proper brew. Lovely. Right, get rid of that. Get another channel strip up. The handle locks into position. That's quite neat. Slightly annoying, but quite neat. Right. Put that down there for another day. Another channel strip. Yet another channel strip. Oh, tedious. Those Rigonda sets used to suffer with line out for transformer failure. I bet they do. Used to dread them coming in back in the day. They were just not well made. Mind you, I should think it's quite a simple transformer. We might be able to rewind it. Should the need arise. Like I say, I've got two of the others. One is a bit smashed in the cabinet department. Although I have to say, the tube doesn't look necked. It hasn't got a shadow on the front where the air rushed in and blew all the phosphor off, so it might be all right. Even so, I've got another tube. I don't remember the tubes being bad. I just remember them being full of unobtainium semiconductors. I bet there's an edition of Television magazine about them somewhere. That's 30 quid's worth of Deoxit gone. Do you know, I think the F5 is now about 37 quid a tin. Yeah. What do you do? I've got to do a good job. It's got to be done right, this thing. So when I put it back together, it just works. They're easy enough to fault find on, but because it is just elegantly simple. There's nothing in here that's going to give me any problems whatsoever. It's just tedious work. Be easier if the knobs were splined rather than keyed, because you could slip them on and off a bit easier without having to find the notch every time. But it is what it is. All these pots, by the way, are mono, except for the last one here, which is the pan pot, which is a dual gang or stereo pot. I think they're all 10K as well. There is one channel strip that's different. It's got a slightly posher EQ on it. These ones are all what they call standard inputs. They came in many different configurations because you just keep adding channels until I presume the noise floor just gets unacceptable. But yeah, just a good thing to want to have, really. Nice and simple. Nothing in there really that you get or go wrong for you. Blow up. Another 30 quid worth of Deoxit. It is a bit wasteful of Deoxit, isn't it, really? But well, such is. Bit of Mr. Mooskle on the front. This one's heavily soiled. "40 years of knob twiddling finger grease." More nuts and washers. Mindless tedium. comments we got coming in? I got a box of those sets in various states. A laser engraver on the door. How did you spot that? Oh, well done. Yeah, that's it doesn't get used much anymore. But yeah, great for making up front panels and stuff. Little engraved labels. I did use it once to cut a hole in a box to mount a meter. Oh, it was on the DIY Geiger counter. But by the cringe, it took forever. And it was one of those jobs where you had to put Fumex in because it absolutely reeked. But it did do a super accurate job. And it was in the time before I had a 3D printer. If I was doing it again now, I'd be 3D printing myself a box rather than laser cutting an existing one. Leslie Jones, wasn't it? Would have covered Rigondas at one stage. Chas Miller might have done as well. Yes, the late great LLJ. I had the pleasure of meeting him once, and the guy that took over from him, I can't remember whether he passed or he retired. He was based in Gloucester, Mr. Bullock, and yeah, he was a character. Met him once. I think he was very pleased to see me for some reason. I was a bit young, I suppose, a bit of a whippersnapper, and do you know what you're doing, boy? He had a place in Spain, didn't he, I think? Must have been when there was money in fixing tellies. John Bullock, was it? I know the business was carried on by, I think, his sons. It was opposite a pub a friend of mine used to own in Gloucester. Not opposite, adjacent to. And I think they sort of carried on doing microwave ovens and IT stuff, I think. Obviously, there's no money in fixing tellies by then. And I've got a sneaking suspicion now it's a hairdresser's. Right, what do we got? Rigondas. Well, I only kept hold of one small TV, and that's a 990. A 990 will never break, will it? Why is Deoxit better than Servicol? Right. Certainly the green stuff it doesn't eat plastic type pots. Whereas Servicol, this stuff, Super 10, that does affect plastic tracked pots. The little plastics, what do they call them? Sort of poly pots. They just tend to get damaged by that. Then there's, of course, red Deoxit, which is just a more expensive Servicol, in my opinion. They both work well. Don't get me wrong. You can't buy that anymore. Servicol is now known as something else. I've got a tin here somewhere because I keep a bit of it because I shan't be one for running out. Yeah, there was a lot of rumour going around that it was no longer available, and it is. It's just changed its name, as is their want, and it's Super 10, exactly the same stuff, look, but it's now made by Contact Chemi, so it's Contact with a couple of K's, look. They've taken a leaf out of Lynn's book with that, haven't they? But there you go, Servicol formula inside. Intel inside. There you go. So yeah, plenty of squirts to be playing with, isn't there? I do find that Deoxit does tend to work a little better than Servisol. And even Servisol, anything in an aerosol these days is not inexpensive, is it? It's all expensive stuff. Definitely John's. Les Laurie. I'm sure it's Les. Anyway, I'll take your word for it. Remember Mr. Bullock, Steve Bullock, Donald Bullock. That was it. Donald Bullock was the dad. I think Steve was his son. I have to say, once you get it down right, I enjoy using PETG for prints. I always start with PLA because my printer likes PLA muchly. And if you remember, I did an antenna video a couple of years ago now, where I made some mounts that were going to use outside. And PETG is a lot better for outside, I think, because it's not as affected by ultraviolet radiation as PLA is, which would just fall to bits, and water. I don't think it's as hygroscopic. But those I printed in PLA and I dipped them in varnish and got a good thick coat of varnish on them. And they're still up there now, and it's got to be 2 years, and they've not suffered, not with the sun anyway. One got a bit damaged in the wind and to affect bodge. It wants a bit of reinforcing put on, but it's held up remarkably well. Paint thinner versus turpentine, but I understand it less. Can't buy turpentine anymore. It causes kidney failure. Ask my mother. Or was it toluene that causes kidney failure? I don't remember. Carbon tetrachloride, that's it. There we go. So my mother, bless her, she was a draftsperson in the 1960s. And she actually drew out the Channel Tunnel approach roads for a proposed Channel Tunnel, obviously never built, in something like 1968 or something. Also used to work with a guy called Dave Clark, apparently, who invented the mini roundabout. Well, that was his claim to fame. The Dave Clark mini roundabout. Yet another channel strip meeting E. Yeah, you see what I mean about this being tedious. I'm very grateful for your company. Just repetitive and boring and another 30 quid worth of Deoxit. Manipulation. Your printer is enclosed. That's a much better idea. Yeah. Got a spool of ASA, but not tried it yet. Don't think I've got a spool of ASA. Awful stuff, turpentine. Isn't turpentine what you get left over with when you've finished fractionating pine trees? No, the sludge left over is flux, isn't it? Is rosin. But I'm sure turpentine boils off as part of the process of dealing with pine trees. And the pine tree is horribly toxic. That's why rosin doesn't do you any good. You need an enclosure for ASA to get good results for your printer. Yeah, I have to say, mine is remarkably tolerant of not being in an enclosure. It's one of those tools. Charles, you know Little Piers. Well, he was getting into it, and he bought some Prusa thing, and I just thought I ought to be getting into this and seeing, So I bought a cheap one. What is it? An Anycubic Mega S, and it was 180 quid at the time on offer from AliExpress, and it came in 3 days, despite the fact they were telling me it was coming from China. I think it eventually ended up coming from Germany, but it was one of those tools, a bit like the laser etcher, and I thought, I'm going to buy one of these because let's have a cheap one, see if we use it, and if I do use it, then all is well and good. And I haven't wasted vast quantities of money, because those Prusa things were quite steep. And it's been a brilliant tool, I have to say. It's eaten a few bits and pieces. It's needed a bit of maintenance during its life. But yeah, no, it's been a very useful tool, especially for making things like knobs and little brackets and stuff. Very easy. I'm not great 3D modeler. I use that Tinkercad website. There are much better packages to use than that, but I seem to get away with it most of the time, making little enclosures and bits and pieces. I should think the business of making, your hobby enclosures, your plastic boxes and stuff, has taken an absolute dive for the 3D printer being available. Right, that's given all that a bit of a move about place. What do I want? Another one of these. I think I've only got 2 or 3 left to go, Had to make some cases for Coleco's Super Game expansion, but just used PLA. I think PLA's all right. It just doesn't stay dimensionally stable, does it? In fact, there's another thing you don't use it for, and that is front panels. So if you have a look at my Pi Pat Gen up there, let me lose the light again. Camera does not change exposure well. If you look at the front panel for Pi Pat Gen there, you can see it's got a curve to it, as has Pi Cow. The standards converter, not so much. These I printed out a PLA, and then I printed out a front panel just on a piece of A4 paper with a logo and everything on it, make it look pretty, and then laminated it. And then, where's the camera gone? There we are. When I laminated it, cut it out, and then I glued it to the PLA backplates, because of course you don't have to drill holes. You can just spec where the holes are. You get the holes the right size. It all just fits together. It's great, especially for somebody with limited drilling capabilities such as myself. I can't drill a hole straight to save my life. And brilliant. So it all comes out neat, all in line, great. And then I bonded the front panels on, assembled it all, and it was beautiful. For about a week, and I bonded the printed laminated front panel onto the sort of front panel proper with Yoo-Hoo, and yeah, it doesn't like Yoo-Hoo PLA. It just warped and got horrible. So stupid fault. But yeah, there we go. So don't do it with Yoo-Hoo. It doesn't like solvents, I think, is the issue. Very cool. Part design and printing is great fun. Yeah, I do. I find it fun. 70s, my uncle had a red gallon tins of CTC from carbon tetrachloride. Ooh. Used it to clean engines until my dad warned him that it was bad. Yeah, like I say, my mother has, to this day, got problems because of her exposure to carbon tetrachloride. And we used to have tanks of it when I first worked in the 80s at a local aerospace company. There was carbon everywhere, but it was in tanks. And you were forbidden from touching it. And there was like I think they were ultrasonic tanks. And then right around the top was a refrigerant loop that sort of caught any vapor that was coming off it and condensed it back into the tank. Was the idea. But I should think that sort of all gave away to AquaCleanse and Aquanox and all those sort of cleaners rather than those noxious, heavy sort of solvent type things. Aquanox is just slightly alkaline, I think. That's what I did these switches with. I've had great results with it, and it's not expensive. It comes as a concentrate. You dilute it down with deionized water. So it's not an expensive solution. You don't need any refrigeration, and you can chuck it straight down the drain when you're done with it. Interesting, actually, thinking about that. We did use ultrasonic clean stuff in the aerospace industry, or at least in they made aeroplane components, PCBs, etc. And something we don't do in the space industry. It is not permitted to ultrasonically clean, at least in my company, in the company I work at. It's not permitted to ultrasonically clean stuff. And I remember there was a problem with those. There was a certain type of capacitor that couldn't go in the ultrasound cleaner. Maybe a wet tant. Maybe. I seem to remember having a word. They were like a sort of bolt-on capacitor, like a doorknob cap, but it definitely had a seal across the top of it and something. Yeah, one side was a bolt, the other side was a tag. I mean, we're going back some now. Didn't stay there for long, got made redundant. Made the paper because I was an apprentice at the time, and they famously made most, if not all, of their apprentices redundant. And that sort of never happened before. But that site went from, I think there was 6,500 employees to less than 3,000 in a year. I wonder where all that business went. The place is still there, it belongs to somebody else now, but still the same sort of business. There's another one done. See what I haven't done so far today is plug the fader back in. I'll check them all before I mount them back in the chassis. There is another one done. Thank goodness for that. Let's have a little look at the comments. First printer was an Ender. It was useless. Oh, a friend of mine's got an Ender. He's always swearing by it. Rather than at it. Resin started with a photon. Yeah, you see, I like the idea of a resin printer, but it's awfully messy, isn't it? And I just don't have the space. Somebody offered me another Mega the other day because they've upgraded. And did I want their old one? He's a friend of mine, and he said, "What printer have you got?" Because he collects Star Wars things and Action Man things. That's his thing. And he's occasionally they'll be missing, I don't know, end of a rifle or something, and he'll draw them up and then 3D print. He said, "Do you think you could do that?" And I went, "Yeah." I said, "That's perfect for the job." So he restores all these models, and he bought he said, "I might just try that." I said, "Well, borrow my printer." And I said, "See how you get on." He said, "What printer have you got?" And he goes, "Well, they're not a lot of money. I'll buy one and see how I get on." I think he's upgraded now. See that, or he doesn't use it anymore. Don't know. But he did contact the long and suffering Mrs. Dawes the other night and say, did I want another one? I just don't have the space. I'm not quite sure I need to. I'm not a print farm, am I? I suppose having one set up with maybe PETG and the other one set up with PLA, it's not a big effort to change it though, is it? What other comments have we got? Love Tinkercad? Yeah, me all. Morning. Well, it is here. Love that idea for front panel graphics. Yeah, I've mentioned it before, but I appreciate, there's an awful lot of videos I've made over the years. I afforded a bit of a lie-in this morning by our 12-week-old puppy. Did miss the start of this. Apologies, it will never happen again. Look, this was me coming on, and just because it was early in the morning, and Alan from the TV community channel woke me up with a text message at God only knows what time. And I thought, I'll just get up. It's nice and cool. I can't sleep anymore, so I thought I'd get up while it's still cool in here and crack on with this horrible, tedious job. So you haven't missed much. It'll probably be available. YouTube does that sort of stuff, doesn't it? What else we got? 12-week-old puppy. That sounds like a lot of work. Must stand the restrictions on ultrasonic. Dang thing can eat stuff. Yeah, well, the whole problem with the ultrasonic cleaner is it eats its own tank eventually, doesn't it? Where I worked for, again, in aerospace, I don't know, 15 years ago, we had to have the tanks had a specific life, and the transducers effectively break down the stainless steel inside the tank and eventually become weak, and then you had to stop using them. I think there was a measurement, almost like thickness. Can't remember. What's the best solvent for a small ultrasonic cleaner? Right. Oh, tripping on coax. That needs to go. Best solvent for ultrasonic cleaner. Something aqueous. This is what I use. It used to be Aquinox. It's not anymore. What do they call it now? It's designed for cleaning PCBs. Flux remover ultrasonic cleaning solution. For cleaning flux, water damage, and other contaminants from PCBs. It's component safe. There's an MSDS for it, so you ain't got to worry about all that. Allendale make it. That is, so you dilute this 10 to 1, I think. So 10 parts water to 1 part of this. And that is about 18 quid. And there's 4.5 litres in there? So that makes 45 litres of jollop. So you can afford to throw it out when it starts to get a bit soupy. Yeah, use it between 50 and 80. I don't often get that hot with it, to be honest. If I'm cleaning a board, I'm always conscious of the capacitor's temperature ratings, and cooler the better, really, but it seems to come out well enough. Allendale Ultrasonics make that. So I think you probably get that on Amazon or eBay or one of those tax avoiding websites. Right, what else we got? Swear by or at, yeah. Swore at the end a lot. Again, my mate had good luck with his. I think he's changed it now. Because I think somebody was getting rid of a decent one from work, and it went to a sort of lottery thing, and I think he had it. He passed it on to a friend of mine. It did have one of those automatic zeroing things. Mine's got nothing like that. I just go around it with a feeler gauge and set the height of the platform. So if you're not au fait with 3D printing, your nozzle comes down, and you have to set a certain gap at the bottom, and it's one filament's width or one layer height width, if you like. So the goo comes out of the nozzle and then sticks to the thing rather than it squishing out against the build surface. So it prints in layers. So you set that for one layer gap basically, and it's done with little screws on the corner. But there are versions you can get of the software where you get a probe and it comes down and it measures the surface and it will compensate for any non-flatness, which is nice, but I find it very unnecessary. I don't even set mine up. I know people say, oh, you should set it up once every time. And the bodge is to set it up with a piece of cardboard or a piece of paper folded over to get the height right. It's a bit vague, isn't it? So I just use a feeler gauge. In fact, the feeler gauge is in the bucket. I'll tell you what size I use. Oh no, the feeler gauge is not in the bucket. Didn't put it away last time I used it, did I? But yeah. That's all I do is go around it with a feeler gauge and you adjust the little feet things that levels the bed. It's quite easy to do, but the automatic leveling, I must say, would make probably a little bit of a difference. Good morning to Patrick. Yes, good morning, Patrick. Nice to have you with me. Just a little update for those of us that haven't been here for blooming hours doing this tedious job. I am repairing channel strips, rebuilding channel strips for a Soundcraft 200B mixing console from 1986. It's a horrible, tedious task, and I fell out of bed early because Alan woke me up with a text message, and I thought I'd come in here and just crack on with it. A good cup of tea. How many are watching? Christ, we've been in here for an hour and 35. Not getting much done, am I? Doesn't tell me how many are watching. Oh, 51 of you. I could think of worse things to be watching, I suppose. Right, another channel strip. I think down to the last two, which is wonderful news because it's boring as hell. Another 30 quid worth of deoxys. Turn the spray down a bit. It's got those nozzles. If you turn it, it changes the sort of pressure that comes out. That's more like it. Not going everywhere now. How's the sound doing for you, by the way? I was going to sort of rig up a microphone, but I didn't really have enough time. But I'm really using the internal mic on this rubbish old webcam. This is much more educational than watching Stolen Earth for the 15th time. Never seen Stolen Earth. Good morning from the Netherlands. Good morning. Come on, this is better than most of the junk from Hollywood. Well, they just can't afford it, see. There's another 30 quid, you're right. Interested in multicolour printing, but I'm not locking into bamboo and the waste that comes with the purge method. IDEX looks promising. Sounds a bit tinny, yeah, I'm surprised. Good morning from Belgium. The land that hobbled the 819 television system. Sorry, Belgium. Yeah. Yeah, the Bamboo Labs thing. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be investing in that somehow. I mean, I've got Raspberry Pi bolted onto the side of mine, and I use that Octoprint software. But it does just allow me to upload straight from the. There's an Apple computer that you'll see in the, when I've got my future editing DOS hat on. That now it used to live in here, but then I moved it out into the office for reasons. But it does allow me to. So that's where I do my design and stuff. And then I just push the send to Octoprint button, and it beams it straight over here, which is lovely. I do use the Prusa Slicer software, just because the kid I originally sort of taught me how to do it, or showed me how to do it, little Piers, he that's what he had, because he had all the Prusa gear. He's a bit of a fanboy, and yeah, it just seemed easier for me to learn that. And it seems to be perfectly compatible with my printer. I've never had an issue with it. So yeah, it's. I think the thing originally recommended I had Cura Slicer. Cura, was it? I'm sure it was. And that was okay. And it did some things at the time that Prusa didn't do. But I stuck with what I could, be shown how to operate. Right. Fresh air. Oh, now I can see a right load of fluff stuck in there. That's loosened it. It will now blow away, I suspect. Oh, come on. Oh, no, we're good. Yeah. Another 30 quid worth. It's much better now to turn the pressure down. It's good, those nozzles. I haven't ever seen them on any other cans, it must be said. This one's a little stickier than the others. Frequently back in the day, you could walk into a studio somewhere where they called you out to come and fix their mixer, and they'd had a beverage or some alcoholic cups of tea gone down the faders. Then you just take the channel strips out and hang them out to dry with a dose of something, and off they go again. Trouble is, these pots, the fader itself is so absolutely exposed. I mean, you can see straight through it. Look, let me get that in the light there. You can see all the way through it. So there's no protection against dust or crap getting in there. It's all Alps, but it just, it could have done with some sort of cover, really, couldn't it? That would have added to the cost. There's some more washers here. Where are they all? Over here. There's a very good STL for a Competition Pro replica. Is that going to be strong enough? Love a Competition Pro, me. Second only to the TAC 2 as a joystick, or maybe a Koenig Speed King. Still don't own a TAC 2 or a Speed King anymore, but they were brilliant. Remember those well. Competition Pro course also came in two different versions. The one I've got is the micro switch version, but there was a sort of one that wasn't quite as good, with leaf switches in it. And I remember being at an auction sometime in the late 80s, and I bought literally sacks of Competition Pro joysticks, and they were all the leaf spring version, but I advertised them in the paper and off they went. Made a lot of money doing that as a young lad. Not a lot of money by modern stretch, but enough for a 15-year-old lad. Plug them into the side of your Commodore, check it out, put it in the paper, Competition Pro joystick, £7 or whatever I got for them each. They flew out. And there used to be a little computer shop in Cheltenham as well, called the Computer Cavern, run by a couple of brothers, Eddie and Eddie's brother. Don't remember what Eddie's brother was called, but I bump into Eddie every now and again when I venture out and go to one of these posh hi-fi shows, because Eddie's well into his posh hi-fi. So, yeah, lovely guy, Eddie. So him and his brother had this business in Cheltenham, just, little computer software shop. Must have been in there almost every day, actually. But yeah, they had a load of those off me as well. It's all coming together slowly but surely. What other comments have we had? Let's have a look. Two more Kaz Diox if you could 3D print a controller for your Atari 2600. I'm sure I've got something you can have here, Charles. Don't need to spend £60 on it, that's for sure. 819 lines, was it good? Yeah, I've never seen it. Never seen it. Every year at Retrotech, there is one very French-looking television set there that does 819. It's a beautiful looking chrome thing, small screen set, bit like that Rigonda, but it's too much money, and the chances of me, ever finding a line transformer for that are going to be non-existent. But I'm always tempted by it. I think the guy wants £200 for it, which is a bit rich, isn't it? What else we got? Lewis Rossman, yeah, he is something else. He's waving that right to repair flag that'll never come to anything. Sorry, but that's the truth. Companies will, they're box movers companies, aren't they? They're not interested in a product. As soon as it gets to 12 months, that's your lot. Forget it. Which is wrong. Don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously, that's what this channel's about. Old rubbish. But the reality is, the right to repair they'll do their utmost to hobble it because they don't want to support it. They have no interest in selling parts at reasonable money that allow you to do a reasonable repair. Look at the price of an LCD panel if you've got one failed or cracked. Right to set off every time. And say we charge £50 an hour, which when you consider what a motor mechanic is paid, I don't think is an unreasonable amount of money. You can't do it, can you? Because the product is so utterly throwaway, and it's wrong. Don't get me wrong, but will it ever come to anything? Nice if they made schematics available. But if you were a Sanyo dealer back in the day, and even if you weren't a Sanyo dealer, actually, you just rung them up and they'd send you a schematic free of charge, a service manual free of charge. Sanyo, they were a good company to deal with. I have to say, their products, quality of picture, etc., would never quite, as good as maybe some others, but service support was just Rolls Royce, and the stuff was reliable. When I worked for Sanyo dealership, I remember we'd always sold and rented Sanyo, and then we had one fail under warranty within the first week. I think it was. All it was the on-off switch had failed. So anyway, dragged it into the workshop, put a new on-off switch in it, and I filled out. It used to be an IRIS form, and I can't remember what IRIS stood for. It was an acronym for something. And you filled it out, and you said, main switch faulty, blah blah blah. They pay you for the part, sort of send you the part, and pay you a fixed labour rate. I think it was about 24 quid or something. It wasn't a lot of money, maybe even less than that. But anyway, I remember that. Some young lady from Sanyo ringing me up and saying, she goes, "You obviously haven't completed one of these IRIS forms in a while." And I said, "Well, no, I do, because we had many other brands." And she goes, "Well," she said, that form was obsolete in 1988, and this would have been well into the noughties. So that was the last time we'd filled out a Sanyo warranty claim form. Their stuff was good. They even did an offer at one stage on TV sets, whereas if you bought a TV set, they would refund you the full value that you paid for the TV set against another one if you part exchanged it in 10 years. And we had people that bought a television set 10 years ago, walked back in the door, "I'd like to part exchange this for the full value," and Sanyo was just delighted. It was good kit. Never blew your mind quality wise, but reliability, stunning. And of course, they made the best Betamax ever, the VTC 5000, possibly 5150. Let's vote the 5150 because it had colour searches and stuff, didn't it? Better timer? Don't remember. What else we got? Zip Stick. Yeah, that was a corker. Power Play Cruiser. Don't remember that one. MS Sidewinder Force Feedback Pro 2. Deoxit F5. Deoxit F5. That's the stuff. Yeah, I was talking about that earlier. Some of it, some squirts can damage the plastic types fader. And LG that forces McAfee malware. There we go. That's why I don't get involved with modern computers. It all went wrong when it went to 16 bits, in my opinion. Let's turn the camera around while I'm reading these so you can at least see me. And you can see the decimation that is this end of the workshop. What else we got? Service something else back in the day. You could call up a fax line, dial up what you wanted, and they would auto fax it over. Yeah. Thrustmaster. Oh, schematic for the Behringer DEQ 5496. Is that the one with the weird AES on it that isn't quite AES? Let me know. I might be able to help you with that. There's a collection of classic space games. Make great use of it. Harvey Smith had a show jumping horse called Sanyo Music Centre in the 70s. There was also a horse called Sanyo Cadnica, which was their sort of NiCad battery solution. And Sanyo Cadnica is still available today. You just know them as Panasonic Eneloop. Same battery, apparently, or at least related to. Sanyo sold the technology to Panasonic in a moment of madness. Why do I know that? Because my wife was a jockey, by the way, and her father, my father-in-law, sadly no longer with us, was a champion jockey in his time. Deoxit, love it. Look at that Commodore power supply. This thing here. Oh, you don't want to be sat near it. It stinks. And it stinks. I'm going to put it out of the way. It stinks of stale cigarette smoke and sweat. it's very unpleasant. That needs to come apart and go in the dishwasher and circuit board in the ultrasonic and give it a good birthday. Yeah, it's an Amiga power supply. That's for an Amiga 1200. It's actually for a 500. It's a lightweight one. That will be coming in probably November by the time you get to see that one. It is that one with the LCD display. Dutch Linux. Right, email me, doztelevisionworkshop@gmail.com. I could probably help you out with at least bits of that. I've also got a firmware bodge, I think, to fix the AES so it actually works. They got hobbled by somebody's infringing somebody's copyright, unsurprisingly. Used to be a Sanyo factory in Lowestoft. There was also the GEC Sobel factory in Swansea. I think so. Didn't the let me get this right. Didn't the Lowestoft one end up being Toshiba? Or was that Swansea? Can't remember. Nice to catch you, Five. Look forward to your videos every week. Nice to have you here. Thanks for joining. Who's that? IE Canvey. Food morning, Andy, from Sharky KT66. You remind me, I haven't had any breakfast yet. I've been up since 6. Food morning to you. I use a Thrustmaster. I take it that's some sort of joystick. I think they just closed down. What, Lowestoft? Oh, hang on. Are they the people that were assembling the cello sets from kits? I thought that was a Ferguson factory. Might be wrong. Probably am. Don't keep on top of it anymore. Sounds like left channel is blown. I think it's the power supply. Normal for 2 seconds and then goes crackling. Yeah, it does sound a bit like that, doesn't it? Quick wick round with the old peaky ESR sounds like it would be a thing. Power supplies are quite simple on those, aren't they? A little switcher, aren't they? Sharky KT66s. We were talking about KT66s the other day. I can't remember who was chatting about it. Might have been a curry. We need to see you get some use out of those ICOM radios behind. They are ICOM, yeah. I had the pleasure of working for an ICOM dealer for a while. And despite the fact they were ICOM commercial and the two radio sections, never the twain shall meet, the rep was very good at finding good prices on. So that is 705. And that is a 7300, the first one without all the posh VGA out, or VGA, it'll be HDMI these days, isn't it? So, yeah, they do get used occasionally. Yeah, they do. But interestingly, I see there was some QSOs using FT8 on 2 meters the other day between Spain and the USA and Portugal and the USA. Don't think that's ever happened before. That's a thing. Worries me. What have we done to the climate? Anyway, there we go. Have I ever fixed 1200? Yeah. I would have been 90s. I had to put a floppy disk in one. It was nothing serious. FT897. You see, before I had access to almost trade pricing on ICOM gear, which I don't have anymore, I was very much a Yaesu guy. I said, looking down here, it's a lot of my other radio gear. There's IC706 Mark II-G, which was my main radio for forever and a day. And it's been used so much, all the legends have worn off the front. There is an FT817, a really early one, which I can't bear to part with. And the 706 Mark II-G is not worth 2 balloons or a lollipop these days. Very interesting computer in the days, the Amiga series. Yeah, it was a beautiful machine. There is an A500 coming soon to the channel, which my friend Ian gave me. And I went, because we're having such good weather at the minute, I thought, oh, I'll just take it because it came boxed. No power supply, no mouse. Found a power supply, that's that thing over there that stinks. And I think I've located a mouse. But I was taking it out of the box to see if it had yellowed, and I was just going to leave it in the sun because it'll just take the yellow straight out of it. And I know people are going, oh, and it doesn't last. It does, it's fine. Will it age the plastics? Probably. Are they aging anyway? Yes. I don't know. Seems to work all right for me. I've got an Electron actually that really, the Electron I did several months ago, that needs a dose in the sun. But I took it out of the box. There's almost no yellowing at all on it. It's absolutely mint. So we should be having a look at that later on. There is a series on a Commodore Plus 4 coming up. For those of you that are into that sort of thing, I do like doing computers. That one really, that was a real difficult problem. Oh, I've missed something. It used to be in East London, we only sold VHS. Comedy Beat asked for Weetabix. Betamax. There used to be a video shop in Croydon, wasn't it? It was called Video 2000. They backed the wrong rules for that one. I'm sure they rented VHS more than anything else. Fingers crossed the CIA 8520s aren't bad on that Amiga. Yeah, so none of it's bad, really. Hydrogen peroxide to get the yellow out of plastic. You don't need to. Yes, I have. And just leave it in the sun. It does exactly the same job. And it's easy. None of this coating it in, making it up into a paste, and just leave it outside in a sunny day. I know we don't get many of them in the UK, but we're being somewhat overblessed by them at the moment. So, yeah. I thought that was to put yellow into your hair. Got much hair left now, have I really? Speak to the long and suffering Mrs. Dodge. She spends a fortune on it. Not my hair, her hair, obviously. Never heard that before. We'll try it. It's if you Google it, it was something to do with the wool industry, and when you made your wool, and they used to dry it out in the yard on a sunny day to make it lighter in color, to bleach it. So obviously exposure to ultraviolet and plastics, maybe not great, but it's only a bleaching process anyway. You're not reversing any chemical change. That's been proven over and over again now. I suppose ultraviolet's all right. Hydrogen peroxide's all right if it's not sunny. But yeah, my Plus 4 was horribly yellowed, and I've had that so long. That had a dose out in the sun a couple of years ago now, and that hasn't returned. Oh, as has my VIC 20, which I thought was in here. It's not. I had a play on that the other night, but that was horribly yellowed, and I did that a couple of years ago when it was on the channel, and yeah. Famous 2000s rapper Eminem bleached his hair with peroxide. Apparently it's disgusting. It smells, doesn't it? Do you know Eminem's the same age as I am? Made more money though, hasn't he? Wool treated with urea to remove the lanolin, and that's solar bleaches, I think, possibly. Could be. Isn't that where a certain derogatory phrase comes from as well, isn't it? Taking when it was collected up in barrels, and apparently. What a horrible job. As it's poisonous, it's where NXS got the song about a model who died after using it so much. I'm fairly sure hydrogen peroxide is just probably is toxic, but I'm sure in the doses you put it in your air. Would they still allow it? I have got hydrogen peroxide in the garage, but it degrades in light anyway, and it's been in there for years. I think it's in the dark. It's in a cardboard box. It's probably all right, but It does eat away the container as well. I must throw it out. This is the message about Thrustmaster as a company, useless. Okay. Don't know them. Probably never will. I think I've seen their stuff. And then they make like throttles and stuff for flight simulators. Are they the people? I haven't had a joystick video in ages, have we? Never go down very well. I mean, it's boring, isn't it? It's always the lead. Cheap fans, plastic would disintegrate on touch if they were left near a window. Yeah. That is the Thrustmaster people, okay. Terrible stuff they did. But I'm a Thrustmaster dance mat guy. Not hip enough to understand that one, obviously. Cheap fans, plastic would disintegrate on touch. Here's the thing. When blue and white LEDs were the thing when they became inexpensive enough to buy, I suppose. So what are we talking? Late 90s. I remember having a server that was running Red Hat, I think. And I decided to, it was in one of those, typical 90s beige computer cases, and it would have been a cheap one. I've got a sneaking suspicion it was something like a Pentium 90 or something, but it had, sort of red power LED and a green hard disk activity, and I swapped them out for white and blue LEDs, thinking I was being trendy. And round the case where the LEDs poked through, it went yellow, blew in rapidly, and then the plastic just disintegrated. The holes sort of got bigger, and just from ultraviolet exposure from those LEDs. My floor fan just completely fell apart, knocked it over, and the plastic housing shattered like Bakelite. Like shellac of 78s. I've got a floor fan upstairs. We needed them this year. It's been too warm. It took me a week to acclimatise during that first bit of heat we had here. Just terrible after the planet's on fire. We've got to stop burning oil, people. Right, this isn't getting anything done, is it? I better show you something else more interesting and go make myself another cup of tea. Because how many channel strips have I got left to do? Oh, I'm on the last one. Fabulous news. Taylors of Harrogate. I said it was Taylors, didn't I? Taylors of Harrogate, Yorkshire tea. The past times I haven't drunk almost tea of any other kind. It's good, in it. It is good. I do like an Earl Grey every now and again. But how come I have boxes of wires and can never find the one I need? I have thousands of components and never have the one I need. I have thousands of valves or tubes, never got the one I need. It doesn't matter. I've always got resistors. Resistors is something I've always got, I think. Rosehip tea, like a fruit tea late at night. You don't need any more caffeine at that point. Cannot be found in any of the supermarkets. Where are you, Patrick? It is amazing what you can get from Mr. Bezos' tax dodging company. Belgium. Surprises me. Bought a used drill, sprayed, contact clean it, and it disintegrates. That is the problem. This stuff, let's read what it says here. This is F5, Deoxit F5, Fader F5. Protects plastic to plastic and plastic to metal surfaces. I have never used the WD-40 one, but I think that has issues. So that's designed for plastics. I've never had much problem with Servisol. Never clean a main switch. The idea of pouring something, that's slightly volatile into something that's going to arc over just seems madness to me. You're just asking for a fire. Swap it out. Anybody who has boxes of stuff will never be able to find anything. Do you know what? I know it looks like a bomb site in here, but I do know pretty much where everything is. I do trip myself up every now and again, especially with the little glass drawers, because I'll have two drawers that are labelled the same because I couldn't find the first one when I bought some more. And there are the box of pots is, I'll turn you around, you can just see that there. You can see the trim pot straw. No, it's all overexposed, look. But it says trim pots, more trim pots, and yet more trim pots. And I did that back in my first TV repair job, and it made my boss laugh. So there's always been silly little labels on drawers. Helps you remember things, doesn't it? Try Blackwell's, the English bookstore. Blackwell's bookstore. Wasn't that a comedy program? Bit dark. Marmite, yeah. If you have one, not terribly cheap though. Ah, the store, yeah. For your tea. I should be sponsored by Taylors of Harrogate then, really, shouldn't I? Seem to have done them the world a favour. One English breakfast in a pot and drink out of a bone china cup, not a mug. Well, if you want to do it properly. And it must be said, tea out of a pot is far better than letting it stew in a mug for a bit, is it? Just leave stuff lying around here. For a limited space, it's very organised. What you don't ever see actually on camera is the size of this place, because I can almost touch from one side to the other. It ain't very big. That may be changing soon, but I'll find out next week maybe. Black Books with Bill Bailey, that was it. Brilliant, that was hilarious. It was a cheap brand of cleaner, not Deoxit. Yeah, buy cheap, buy twice, don't you? The blasted soldering iron. I have to say the Uhuru one seems to be working well, by the way, if you watched that the other week. Black Books. I wonder if that's available anywhere. I'd like to see that again. It was funny. A little bit dark. But a friend of mine, he's seen Bill Bailey a few times live, and he says he's very, very good. Very good indeed. Earl Grey's top tea. Must try it with regular. It's very different. It's very flowery. It's got bergamot in it, isn't it? Yeah. A friend of mine, John, used to like a good strong cup of Bricky's tea, as we call it. So you Yorkshire or something similar. And then just a touch of bergamot in the top. Mustache, 12-week-old puppy, is most definitely awake now. Good luck with that. Take him out for a walk before it gets too hot. Colin has box sets. Does he? Bought a cheap desoldering iron. Also works great. And yeah, musical genius. Yes, he is very, very funny. Multi-talented. It was that thing he did. I was a big fan of U2 when I was a young man growing up. And we were talking about War and possibly as far as the Unforgettable Fire albums. And the way he took the mick out of the Edge on one of his things was absolutely priceless. Yeah, it's definitely good to spend a bit more on some contact cleaner, especially this. If you've got something you can't get, and pots are like that now, especially those 4-pin ones where you've got a volume pot and then a loudness curve in the same pot going the other way, unobtainium. Afterworks, hokey coat. Oh, yes. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Right, I'm going for another brew. I'll bring you something to look at. Give me a second. You can look at that rubbish for a minute. Something pretty to look at. You see it, look, let's give it an artistic angle there. Do Englishmen get tired of referencing Earl Grey each time tea is mentioned? The Earl of Grey must have been very pleased with Jean Robury and Patrick Stewart. I think he's long dead. Right, tea. Where's my mug? There it is. Right, that's brewing. Love the colour combo. 2001 A Space Odyssey. This is a tea alert, correct? Alps, yes, 4p per side. Tea alert. I'm buying a please hold sign for tea. Which I've got a test pattern one somewhere for setting up old camcorders. I could make something out of that, couldn't I? Is Alps a switched pot with resistors in it? No, that's a stepped attenuator. I think Alps do some. This thing came all the way from Copenhagen via a viewer who had a go, him and AI had a go at repairing it. And I have to say, this was designed in the 60s. This one, I think, dates from maybe as late as 71, 72, because they did a couple of iterations of this TV set. This is a black and white set, monochrome. They did a colour one later on in the same style of cabinet, but it's Brion Vega. Don't know, Italian design thing. VHF, UHF 625 only. And I have to say, considering it was designed in something like 64, quite an advanced design for its years, fully transistorized, not a valve in there, although the early ones did have a DY 96, I think, EHT rectifier. This one's got a stick, but you'll see this in a future episode. This thing is a pig to work on, but Guy sent me a challenge to get this going, so posted it all the way from Copenhagen, and does give a very good picture now, but there we go. Smart looking TV for its age. Yeah, the only thing I will say about it is the plastic is it's starting to go milky. The handle you can completely trust because it's all metal and it bolts straight into top of the case on a big metal reinforcing thing. It's very well built. I don't mind Italian stuff, but the problem with it was I had a schematic for the chassis, but there's no silk screen on it, and I didn't have a layout. It was obviously on the other side of the sheet that had been scanned. So finding every component was just a nightmare. And the chap had utilised AI in an attempt to repair it. And clearly AI is no good at fixing tellies yet. So that's a result for me. I get to stay doing my hobby for a little while longer. We ought to have a chat about AI, really. I don't trust it. I have to say, it lies. There's a lot of Facebook groups that sort of, these, I've got an electronic part, what is it? I've asked Google, it says this must be the truth. And they've used AI to try and ascertain, and it just makes up rubbish half the time. There was a guy with, they just seem to, people just seem to trust AI. Is it because it speaks with such confidence? I find it lies like a cheap watch. 63 people are watching this rubbish, good Lord. It's well built and Italian, rarely share the same sentence. I think that's a bit harsh. They make some good cars. How is Het going now with your health and shakes? Pretty good. I just, actually, when I went to brew up, I haven't taken my meds this morning. And I was talking about this earlier. It is markedly better. It's not necessarily me that's noticed this, it's other people. And it is. There is a marked improvement now. And interestingly, I can't really drink coffee anymore. Tea seems all right at the minute, thank goodness. But if I drink a cup of coffee, if I drink excessive coffee, I get the shakes just like everybody does. But it never used to affect me. I was just shook all the time. Now it's starting to affect me. So obviously something is changing. I am now, what we on 1st of August today. So yeah, I'm halfway through the transition. So I've been on the new stuff and weaned off the old stuff now for months, but can't drive until 12th of October. So yeah, I'm about halfway through, which is rather good. Right, I'm going to make this tea. I should be straight back. What console are you servicing? Oh, it's a Soundcraft 200 SB. There's the mastering and basses module, and it's lovely, or it will be when it's done. AI gets stuff all wrong all the time. Yeah, trust the expert. I know, it's weird. Dangerous evolution. Many people simply believe it. Yeah, that seems to be my impression. I have to say, it was quite good when I was building that pond pump controller and I was struggling to pull some data off another system. It did it in about 15 minutes, coded it, got it to work. From which country is this live streaming, sir? It's coming from the United Kingdom, specifically the southwest of England, in Gloucestershire. "14 of the 62 viewers need milk this stream. Oh, like this stream? Yeah. Yes, that speaks with confidence. It's a con, isn't it? I can't see it being sustainable. It's consuming the world's storage. Memory prices and disk prices are through the roof. I just can't see it being sustainable. Somebody's getting rich off the back of it, but is this another bubble that's just going to burst? Is it going to put all the software developers out of a job? Is it going to put me out of a job? I haven't seen any AI electronics designing tools yet, but I believe there are some. I don't think I trust it. Yes, Gloucestershire, yes. left-hand side, just between sort of Bristol and Birmingham. Yeah, Behringer stuff. You've got to admire its price, but it's a price point, isn't it? Gloucestershire is not a place you want to be at all. It's all right. You're on about. New resolution: I must not stop and pick up rubbish people leave on the street. You're 58. Yeah, I'm not far behind you. I'm 56. The bubble is beginning to burst. There you go, Charles. You know more about that sort of thing than I am. I don't necessarily keep my finger on the pulse. 35 years of professional coding. Now you see, I started with BASIC. Didn't everybody at my age? And then learned 6502 assembly. Funny enough, I never really got the hang of Z80 assembly, but I didn't really have the machine to do it with, really, back in those days. Then it all went 16-bit, and I largely lost interest. I only got back into it, really, with PIC Micro back in the day for little embedded things. So yeah, that's where I sort of picked it back up again. And then, of course, I discovered Arduino and its flavor of C++, and that seemed to be a very good language. And I use that, what's the environment called? Platform IO now to make things, because Arduino's just got a bit odd. And I think it's something to do with it being taken over by whoever's bought it. A bit of a shame, that, because it used to be sort of semi-open source, didn't it? And I think that's going to change. Pascal, yeah, I did Pascal at college, actually, now you mentioned that. I've been to Holland many times as well, the Netherlands. Lovely place. A bit flat. Desperately anti-AI, yeah. Spec memory chips to increase up to 200%. Micron have also discontinued all their sort of legacy stuff, which I use in my real day job. So I'm having to source replacements for that. That's difficult. Can't even get RAM. Yeah, we're talking about RAM. Chipping Sodbury. Here's the thing, Rob. Did you know that there was a pirate radio station called Chipping Sodbury Sound? Google it. It was actually a spoof, and it came from the Laser 558 boat back in the day. Chipping Sodbury Sound on the wireless. C++ basic. I'm 59. I don't think I could do basic anymore. I mean, I do when I'm testing out the micros we're doing here, but yeah. Back into fourth. Gosh. What type of antenna is that? Which one are we looking at? This one here. That one there? Ah, that's one that's featuring in the channel shortly, actually. Yeah, I'm going to keep that one under my belt for a bit. Just say it's a dual band Yagi for now. Very good it is too. Right, I'm going to go and brew this tea. I shall be right back. 1 cup of tea. I just had to close the door there for a second on account of the long and suffering Mrs. Dawes has awoken, and she was working quite late last night, so she's not an early riser. Right. Where are you? Over here. Programming GD script and Golang. Never heard of that. Oh yeah, the Jupiter Ace. Remember that? Now I had a Jupiter Ace. A few years ago, I used to buy, refurb, and sell micros, and it fetched stupid money. And a new brain as well. Do you remember was it Grundy? They had a VFD on the top. I think it was 64K. It was all packed into a very compact case. Reset issue, I seem to remember. There was something like a 1 or 10 mic capacitor on the reset line that had failed. It was slow to restart. Where are you? I'm here. Tinfoil hat on. Goal is to remove global access computer. I'm about to break my mirror. It has fallen over. Radio Veronica was also medium wave back in the day. Now there is, I believe it's now a restaurant, isn't it? The Boat. I can't remember the name of the boat. Fortran at college. Never did Fortran. Did Pascal at college. Hot day, 1:47 p.m. Where are you, my friend? Who's that? That's Imtiaz. I'm going to murder that. I'm sorry. Imtiaz Balua. Alper. Yes. Godot. Oh, it's a 2D, 3D game engine. I'd love to write a game again. Wrote games in the 80s. One published as well. Time Math Software, and the future was 8-bit. Very good company to deal with. Lovely people. In fact, they'll be featured in the forthcoming Commodore Plus 4 episode. Pakistan. Good afternoon, sir. Oh, what story was that? What story do you want to hear? About my game. Right, well, there was a guy called me, and there were a few of us, and if you remember back in the day, there were various people that used to crack games, and we sort of liked that idea of making your own demos up and stuff. And there were this was back in Commodore 64 times, and freezing cartridges and reset lines and all that, and those bloody things with a non-maskable interrupt that you couldn't reset properly or scramble itself when it did. Ways of getting it down and copying it out. Naughty stuff. Never made any money at it. Never sold stuff. It was just put your name on it somewhere or hide it in the code and then see if it ever turned up again. It never did. But yeah, there was a guy called Matt Betts who lived a mile and a half that way. Don't know what happened with him. I lost contact with him years and years ago. There was a lady whose nickname was Zach, and she did a lot of graphic stuff, so that was fun. Sadly, she passed of cancer a few years ago. I did keep in contact with her all my life, really. She was a good friend. And yeah, Matt Betts, and there was a guy down Coptown Road. What was his name? And he was a guy that George. So me and George had gone to UMIST in Manchester for the Commodore show, and it was the year of the release of the Amiga. So when was that? 85. So I'd have been 14 or something. I remember getting a train to Manchester and going up there and meeting Jeff Minter, amongst others. And Jeff Minter told me how to get sprites to the border, and that was it. We were away from there. And we had a sound sampler. I had a Daytel sound sampler. Now, that was just an A to D and a D to A that hang off the user port. And I'd worked out how to get sound samples to play back on the Commodore 64. So that's the sort of bit I did. And it was actually a crude, because you could do 4 bits, I think, of sound. And it was awfully scratchy. But of course, you only used up half a byte every time. So I made this sort of expander shift register thing that put 2 samples in 1 byte, so you didn't throw 4 bits away, because it's half a byte, a nibble. So every nibble you saved, you didn't need to waste the 64 kilobits, because of course, as soon as you start sampling sound, even at the ridiculously low quality we did it at, you sucked up memory. So yeah, that was the story. Jeff Minter, the llama guy, still lives in Wales. Alive, well, and living in things. Demo scene is still going, yeah. I listened on the shortwave 25 meter band. That would have come from Wooferton, I should think. I went for a job interview at Wooferton. Never did manage to get to work for the BBC. There we go. Showed you an 8086, and that was your computer training. What, this is it? Here's a computer. Now, goodbye. It's ridiculous. I'm of that weird crossover age where I was the last year to take what they called an O level in the UK, which was your ordinary level of high school qualification. And when I got to college, they were still doing thermionic valves, so tubes, but it was a very basic thing. And yet at the other end of it, we were doing microprocessors. It's just a bizarre snapshot of time where all of this technology was still relevant. Just, I have to say, I don't think until I got interested in vintage gear, didn't really do any valve stuff. I had a pirate radio station. I never did anything like that. My antenna in Belgium and the FM transmitter in the Netherlands, so they couldn't find you. How fabulous! Different groups competing to liberate software and add their art. Yeah, there was a piece of hardware you could get that stripped sprites out of stuff, and I remember making a sort of clone of Uridium called Uridibad, and it actually used a 1541 servo to generate an extra channel of music. It was awful. Good work though. Alter the timing of the noise channel, and that's not how I did it. To get the sample to play back, you modulate it. Well, this is how I did it. And the volume set register, which was 4 bits, and if you incremented it and then decremented it at the rate of the sample, so basically you shoved the PCM downscaled into because I think it was 8 bits to start with, and I wrote a program that converted down to 4. And then shove that into the volume control register. You get sound out if you did it quick enough. That's how I did that. Or did I? Now you say that, I think I did. I think you had to switch the noise channel on to get it to work. First year of GCSE, that's it. Then you're 55. BBC have a powerful shortwave transmitter. The BBC don't own any transmitters. They all got sold off. They all belong to either Crown Castle Communications, which I believe is gone. I think they all belong to Arqiva now. How's the Electrons? Lovely. Needs a dose of the sun. Must add a new Vista to my collection. I haven't got any new Vistas. Based on the price of my first, 32 gig would cost about £800,000. Amazing, isn't it? Yeah, Usagi Electrics. I love his channel. I noticed he's correct. What was the word he keeps mispronouncing? There was a word he kept mispronouncing. I think he used to be an air traffic controller. A little bit of a worry if you're mispronouncing words, but there we go. Spent a day on valves. The rest was basic. I think we did a bit more than a day, but it wasn't a lot on valves. So yeah, it would have been days, but not even a week. The rest of it was digital and analog stuff. Spent a long time doing op amps and things, which, let's face it, has stood me well for 40 years so far. Mercury Vapor Rex, God. Digital radio is not independent. You may wish to look at Hack RF1 and a certain library. You can generate DAB. Not that I've tried. Traditional exam-based O-levels, I've got 5 O-levels, 4 City and Guilds, an OND and an HNC. At least they're nice to look at, certainly are. It was a bug in the SID. There were plenty of bugs in the SID and the VIC. VIC 2 at least. Oh, the Pro Tracker and the tracking software on the Amiga was good fun, wasn't it? Just wish the samples had been a little bit high quality, but they weren't bad. A new Vista, I think it was RCA, wasn't it? It was designed to compete with the transistor. Unijunction transistor. That's a bizarre thing. I think I've got 1 or 2 over there, the boxes. So many memories coming back. Yeah, we're all of that age, aren't we? Right, folks, it's 10 o'clock. In 34 minutes, there is the premiere of Fixing 3 TV Sets. So I'm going to sign off. I'm going to get that last channel done. And it'd be nice if you can join me there. I'll put the chat back up again. So, maybe see you in 35 minutes. So, lovely. Thanks for being here. Like, subscribe, do all that rubbish. See you later.